Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you can hear me really well because I'm on my phone and I don't have my microphone attached. I hope your long weekend is off to a great start and I don't want to keep you too long. I wanted to discuss the topic of refeeding syndrome. And the reason I haven't discussed this sooner is because not many of you are at risk of this, but it's still important to know, especially now as we move into September and the new members start. I'm going to be giving out more information about refeeding and how we're going to do things to optimize your results. I know some people wish they had better results at this stage, just in, dare I say, consistency and mindset and discipline. So I'm trying to find ways around that we can get better results. If maybe your consistency and discipline is not on point, how can we maybe take some shortcuts? So that's what I'm looking at. And some of you are still doing amazing. So there's only like a couple of people are struggling. You'll know who you are. And life happens. I get it. We all have our obstacles. But refeeding syndrome is really only specific to a certain denomination or group of people. In the comments, I'm going to put a list of the people most at risk for experiencing refeeding syndrome. So what is refeeding syndrome? Well, it is what it sounds like. It happens when you refeed. And what happens is it generally will only affect people who are doing extended fasts. And the body will shift gears. So the body shifts gears when we fast. We tend to start to lose a lot of minerals when we fast, or even when we go lower calorie. And especially if you consider the heat now, we lose a lot of minerals when we fast. Your body will shuttle minerals and nutrients into essential areas to, one, keep you alive, but also do that reparative regeneration stuff that we want to happen when we're fasting. So the idea of the fast is to give your body a reset. Allow your body to just not focus on digestion and move more into that autophagy state and even apoptosis. So that healing, cleaning up, regeneration state. That's why we fast. That's why I fast. But when we do this, we start to shift gears with our minerals and our nutrients, and we lose a lot of minerals when we fast because it's actually insulin, which we get from our carbs, causes our body to retain these minerals in our kidneys, in our brain, in tissues, in muscle. You need glycogen for that. So if you're fasting, you're going to lose a lot of minerals, and that's generally through exhalation and sweating and urination. But now with the heat wave, a lot of it's going to be sweating. So fasting is great when you're in a heat wave because it will lower your body temperature and keep you cooler, which is awesome. And it does work, but at the same time, you are going to lose a lot of minerals. And even if you're not doing long fasts, this can affect people who are eating really low calorie on like a Monday to Friday scenario. And I know some people will fast on Friday and then refeed on Saturday. You can lose a lot of minerals, especially if you're going low carb. You're going to lose a lot of minerals. And then what else happens? Well, the purpose behind a lot of what we're doing, including the fasting, is to resensitize your cells to insulin. So we're addressing that insulin resistance. We want you insulin sensitive so that when you do get sugar and have that insulin kind of knocking on the door of the cell, your cells take it in and they use it for energy. This is how we become more metabolically flexible and kind of override that insulin resistance scenario. And it really does work. But when you refeed, we get the alternate can happen. So when you're fasting and you're low lower calorie, not only are you losing all these minerals, you shift fluid throughout your body because of this survival mechanism. Your body's trying to kind of preserve certain areas so you can function, and it's really just focused on cleaning you up and healing and regenerating. And then you also have this insulin sensitivity, which improves. One more thing that happens, and I spoke to Samantha about this morning because I really had an eureka aha moment with what was happening with her gut when she fasted and what I'm about to explain to you. So when we fast, like I mentioned, we're not focused on digestion. Like, we're not focused on anything like that. We down-regulate digestion because we're trying to heal and regenerate and clearing out damaged cells and proteins. That's your autophagy. And then apoptosis, if you ever hear me refer to that, that's signal cell death. It's where your body's going to signal to cells that maybe are old or not functioning properly to die so that new cells can then be grown, basically. So when we do all of this, and even eating smaller meals and lower calorie and less of one macronutrient and less of the other, that will affect digestion. It totally will. If you eat less fat, then you're going to downregulate your production of lipase because you're going to say to your body, hey, lipase, we don't need you. We're not actually eating fat. And you see people had a lot of problems with this when they transitioned from like the 80s and 90s where it was all low fat. And then as we moved into the 20th and 21st century, it was like more fat and people couldn't tolerate it because they just had already messed up a lot of their gallbladders and digestive enzymes. But the point is, when we do fast and we eat lower calories, we also downregulate stomach acid. We downregulate bile production and we downregulate digestive enzymes because we don't need them. Your body's like, hey, you're not digesting anything. You don't need this. So what happens when we refeed? So if you've done an extended fast, and sometimes I'll do like 48 hours before refeeding, or some people will do 24 hours before Saturday. And then generally, like, even if, like I said, you're eating very low calorie and smaller meals like Monday to Friday, and then you introduce a refeed on Saturday, what can happen is you can, and I've only seen it happen twice, and it kind of happened to me once a couple of years ago. So it's not something that I'm concerned about, but I want you to know about. What can happen when you reintroduce all of this food, especially if it's like sugar, like a shit ton of sugar on a Saturday morning, you potentially could induce refeeding syndrome. And what would that feel like? Well, one, you could go hypoglycemic and you'll know it. Your blood sugars will drop. You'll get the cold sweats. You'll start to shake. You won't be able to function. You'll be like, oh my God, I don't feel good. I need sugar. I need sugar. Like, that is a pure survival mechanism. Like, you won't be thinking I need sugar. Your brain will just switch over and tell you, you need sugar. This is survival. You're going to pass out. Then you could experience hyponatremia, which is an increased swelling throughout the body and then dehydration of the brain because you're bringing in all these carbs. And then you're going to have a shift in all of these fluids and minerals into the cells because you're reintroducing all of this food. So then you could experience heart arrhythmias, palpitations, you could feel faint, you could just not feel good. And like I mentioned with the digestive stuff, if you bring in a refeed and you have all of this food come in, especially fat and carbs, like out of nowhere, you haven't ate in like 48 hours and all of a sudden you're having like pancakes with cream, that's a lot of carbs, that's a lot of fat. Your gut, chances are, is literally going to go, oh shit. And you're going to get diarrhea and nausea and cramps and stomach aches and everything. So refeeding syndrome, I mean, in a worst case scenario, it has been associated to death, cardiovascular issues, your brain could shut down. Like, in a worst case scenario, the most I've ever seen from anyone like that I work with is that hypoglycemic. Like, they'll have a refeed and after that first like refeed meal, their breakfast, they'll go hypoglycemic and they'll message me and they'll be like, what the hell is going on here? Like, I don't feel good. My one girl was like, my friends had to get me like orange juice and just sugar to bring my blood sugars back up. And that is part of this kind of refeeding response that can happen. And this specific girl was eating like almost nothing throughout the week. She was busy and she wasn't focused, and then on the Saturday she went to Stampede and had all that, not only the sugar but the grease as well, and she just went hypoglycemic. And I was like, this is what happened to you. You had too much sugar at once, but also you hadn't been remineralizing during the week. Like I said at the start, if you have gone low calorie all week or fasted all week, you're going to lose a lot of minerals. This is why I'm always saying, okay, you have to have your inner bath. I need you to have that sea salt and electrolytes. And then a lot of you are supplementing with electrolytes, but I know a lot of people are supplementing with magnesium, which is going to help offset the cardiovascular issues, the heart arrhythmias. Magnesium is also great for insulin sensitivity. But then I always say, have sea salt in your meals. Don't be afraid of sea salt. And even when I fast before, like I generally try to fast on a Friday, but I always have like my lemon juice. I'll put lemon juice in my green tea, and I always have my electrolytes. I do a lot of magnesium. So I'm like, after last year when I fainted from the heat and dehydration and all, I'm like conscious. I always have to have my minerals, but this then helps prevent any of that refeeding syndrome. So even on your refeed day, I always say to you, even though you're sending me your weight, after you do your weight, I still want you doing that morning routine. You're still to do your inner bath, because yeah, you're doing your electrolytes and your minerals before you refeed, but as soon as you bring in those extra foods, those minerals flood into the cells, which can cause swelling and everything. So then your mineral levels in your blood is going to drop because all these minerals flood the cells. That's where, you've heard me speak about a lot, like if you weigh on the scales on Sunday after refeed day, you could be up like 6 pounds. 6 pounds is my average. That's fluid. That's inflammation and fluid. That's not actually body weight, but this reflects all this fluid rushing back into the cells and into the tissues and into the muscles even. So we want to also bring our blood mineral levels back up on refeed day with our morning routine, and just being cognizant of other stuff I've taught you as well. I've said, like, what are your offsetting tools? Apples, apple cider vinegars, blueberries. Well, one, they're very high in electrolytes, so they're going to give you minerals, and then structured water as well. Now, with what I said about the digestive system, so that's how you would prevent the refeeding from hitting you hard in the sense of cardiovascular issues, fainting, hypoglycemia, all that. You stay mineralized, have your morning routine, do your electrolytes, also apple cider vinegar, because we know apple cider vinegar is going to help with that blood sugar sensitivity and metabolism, but the apple cider vinegar brings us back to that digestive stuff. If you do have a fast or you're lower calorie during the week, and then you bring in a load of foods and you end up with stomach cramps, and I've seen this happen, and nausea and diarrhea all day Saturday, that's not fun for anyone. How are you supposed to enjoy your day? Apple cider vinegar is going to offset that, because what does apple cider vinegar do? Well, it stimulates the vagus nerve as soon as it touches your tongue. This is why you need the taste of apple cider vinegar. This is why you cannot do the pills. And the gummies are a complete joke. I mean, they contain sugar. What the fuck is the point of that? Like, that doesn't even make sense, but people keep falling for it. You need the vinegar to touch your tongue. That's going to say, hey, stomach, food is coming. And this would work with lemon and lime juice as well, and a few other things. Even sea salt water would do this. And it says, hey, food is coming. Let's start producing enzymes and stomach acid and bile. So when you do bring in that food, you don't end up with all these stomach issues. And this can be a problem for people that already have gastric issues or low stomach acid. Like, you have to be, I know it's complicated, but I try to just tell you what to do so that it works. that you're not causing more damage when you fast and refeed when you already have good issues. Like, everything is for a reason, and I'm going to teach a lot more about this in September to kind of highlight, like, everything is for a reason. Yes, I tell you to do lemon and sea salt in the morning, and most of you know that's electrolytes, that's to help with detoxification, but that's also a lot of other stuff that does. So then we also have our offsetting tools. I'm always posting, don't forget your offsetting tools. I put a list in here, I think 2 Saturdays ago, of our top offsetting foods. So like, if you've been fasting and then you come along and you weigh, you do your morning routine, have your apple cider vinegar, that's an awesome start. You've already stacked conditions against you. But now you're about to reintroduce food, and you don't want cramps and diarrhea all day, and you want to make sure that your body is metabolizing all this extra food and sugar into the right places, like not into your fat cells. We want it to go into the muscles, want it to go into tissues where we've lost it during the week and from the fast. So then we're going to bring in our offsetting tools. So something easy on your stomach, like your whey protein shake, that's one of our offsetting tools, but it's also going to then slow down the absorption of the sugar, but it's going to say, hey, we're slowly reintroducing food now. Let's not have diarrhea or anything. Especially because some of you, I've told you, your refeed day should be one of your heaviest days of the week for training. Like Saturday and Sunday, refeed day and post refeed day, they should really be your 2 heaviest training days. And we want to utilize all this nutrition properly. So having that extra whey protein shake is going to help a lot, especially with muscle growth and gains and building bone and ligaments. Like, that protein shake is going to help a lot. And then you have some blueberries. Yesterday I tossed all my blueberries in fresh lime juice. So good. You could try that. I usually do it in lemon juice. I'm always trying to get in these bitter foods. Your apple, of course. So your first meal when you break a fast, it should be something easier to digest. That kind of says, hey, we're about to bring in food, like, wake up, instead of wake the fuck up, let's go. And then you end up with diarrhea and cramps all day and just going crashing and not feeling good. And like, you really have to be smart about this. And people do that. I had one girl, she had Baileys at like 7 a.m. and then she had like pancakes with all the toppings after that, and then she just felt lethargic and dragging her ass all day and couldn't enjoy the day. And then she had bowel issues, and if you've bowel issues, you can bet your bottoms you're going to have mind and mental health issues. You absolutely 100 will. Watch how your mind feels and your mood feels after refeed day for the following 2 days. Watch, the proof is in the pudding. So that's refeeding syndrome. That's how it can be caused. That's some of the symptoms, and that's some of the ways we can offset it. And like, you guys have all the tools, you have all the education. You guys literally have more education and more tools than most nutritionists and dietitians out there. And I'm not saying that to be nasty, but you do. They don't research this stuff. They don't talk about this stuff. So now you have all of this stuff, just to be aware, because as we like go through September now and October, November, before Christmas, people are going to go hardcore, and we just want to make sure that we're not doing more damage than good. So we want to stack conditions in your favor, and then when we have our refeed day, we're enjoying it, but we're also getting all of the benefits. And again, we're not doing damage. We're constantly doing good and like coaxing our body in the right direction and supporting it towards our goals, which includes healing and regeneration. Okay, that's that. I'm going to post the people at high risk in the comments below. If you have any questions at all, please do leave them and I'll answer them as soon as possible. I will be offline for a couple of hours, but I'll keep an eye out. Enjoy your long weekends, and I'll chat to you guys really soon. Bye-bye.